career-wise, it was a lot of fun, and it has been a lot of fun, and it is a lot of fun to build coaching and the Hero Project. And I don't want to downplay that, but emotionally, this was the hardest year of my life.
Yeah.
You know, and if anybody looks at my Instagram, which is truly about marketing and showing people that there is hope out there in other areas, that you and I have done very well at, that we can help people with, right? I was going through a divorce, and a lot of that's very personal and still probably too raw and too soon to share about that.
This is The Dose of Positivity, hosted by the one and only Mike Diamond.
This is A Dose of Positivity, and I have a very good friend of mine on the show today, Adam Jablin. He's an author. He's sober like me. He helps a lot of people, thousands and thousands and thousands of people. So here we are. Welcome to the show, my good friend, Adam Jablin. How are you, brother?
Mike fucking Diamond.
I got to make you laugh. I just finished a podcast with Kane from K-Rock. I'm going to send it to you. And Kane used to party with me back in the day. And when I had Snitch with Wyland, and he's like, can we talk about, all the craziness? And all I could do is think of like you, because it's the old school of how fucking nuts we were. And dude, so many people hit me up and were like, oh my God. Like, because we went, I was telling him all the stories, how we used to do blow in the kitchen at the club. And then we didn't have a chef, and what we would do, and Kane goes, because all the guys from K-Rock and all the musicians would come, and we would start in the kitchen at 9, 10 o'clock and just do blow till 4 in the fucking morning. And we'd come out of the kitchen and there'd be no one in the bar. They're like, where'd everyone go? And I'm like, we didn't leave the fucking kitchen. It's like, oh my God.
Good night.
Fuck. So let's, right? So you'll be 16 years in July.
Yeah, I'm right behind you.
Yeah, I'll be 16 years in April. You've written books. You help a lot of people like me. So let's dive in. Give this audience something that they need. So what made you stop?
It's a great question, Mike. The truth of it is that it was an intervention that actually was the thing that had me come to the complete halt and make a decision to go to rehab. Mm-hmm. But we've discussed this, so I'm going to talk not like it's just Mike and Adam, but like there were so many times along the way that I wanted to, and it really, what it did was it turned into a game of whack-a-mole. Like, I'll just stop the cocaine and the ecstasy and somehow drink red wine. So I whack those two, but then the red wine and Ambien pop up, and I can't keep living like this. What I'm going to do is I'll just take ecstasy on the weekends, no more red wine, and a couple of beers on Sundays. So you whack those two, and then these two come up, which is like, you know what? Maybe it's just better to take amphetamines and barbiturates, but no alcohol. So you whack the alcohol one, you whack it, and that's what it was like for the longest time. For the longest time of just trying to figure out a system to make it work. Yeah. So really, and like you, I didn't know anything about this world that you and I, immersed ourselves in. So I didn't know about 30-day chips, 90-day chips, steps, amends. The first time I heard the word resentment, I was like, what does that even mean?
Fuck is a resentment? What do you mean? I don't resent anyone. And then you pull out your list, there's like 9,000 people on it.
I'm like, what, you mean you're pissed off? Is that what you're trying to say? You're pissed off at somebody? Can't you just say I'm pissed off? So this whole beautiful, miraculous world that you and I love now so much was so fucking foreign. So fucking foreign to me. But yeah, to the very long answer to a very simple question was, it really was the intervention that had me stop.
So, see, when you were into rehab, did you do 30, 60, or 90 days?
30 days. 30 days.
You leave rehab after 30 days, and then what did you go? Sober living, or what did you do?
No, so I went right back to my life, Mike, but attacked it. You know, I attacked it. Now, it was 2006, like you.
Yeah.
It's not that sober living wasn't. I mean, of course, it was there and it was popular, but I feel like there was less of a curriculum. There was a lot more flexibility. There was a lot more openness. Recovery was starting to become a very, very big business, but I don't think it's the way you and I have seen it peak in the last 20 years.
Yeah.
You know, it was just starting to really, really take off with a lot of more centers and treatment, you know, halfway houses, but it wasn't quite there yet when you and I came in. You know, when you and I came in, there was no, you know, there was no texting and iPhones, you know, so so you know, when you and I were present in meetings, we were really present, like we were really,
yeah.
So it was, you know, not that I'm saying that we're old. It's just a little different now. And so after 30 days, just something really, really special happened to me in that treatment center, and a real spiritual experience that was profound and real, and changed me from the inside out. And I just attacked my recovery, Mike, like with everything I had. I fucking attacked it. And this is where you and I really bonded, because not everybody has that mindset we have, but like, something that is very healthy for us that I feel like we both channeled, I know I'm only allowed to speak for myself, is I took whatever that competitive rage is inside of me, and I channeled it into my recovery. So like, I had to make a meeting every day. And he's making coffee, I can make coffee. You know what I mean? He picked up 3 guys from a treatment center, I can pick up 3 guys from a treatment center.
Yeah.
He's already being asked to speak. Well, I gotta raise my hand more. It was competitive.
But you know what I loved about that? So I'll tell you, you'll love this. So mine was, I just walked into a meeting, you know what I mean? And I never forget, I went to this meeting, and, you know, I was doing 90 and 90, which I was told, right? I had a good sponsor. And this guy got up. He says, I do 2 meetings a day. And I was like, 2 meetings a day? I'd never heard that before. I got really angry. I was like, fuck that guy. So I called my sponsor. I said, you bullshitted me. He goes, what do you mean? I go, there's a motherfucker that does 2 meetings a day. He goes, yeah, but all you need is 1. I'm like, fuck that. I'm going breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So I was doing 3 meetings a day, right? And I would try to find this fucking guy on purpose. And I saw him at a meeting, I swear to God. And he was like, yeah, I do 2 meetings a day. And I fucking shot my hand up. I said, yeah, so I do 3 meetings a day. And I try to, like, just to be like, fuck you, dude. Like, fuck you. You do 2, I do 3.
Yeah.
And I got so insane. But I think that's the point of, I think that's the superpower that we talk about that makes Robert Downey Jr. go from smoking crack to Iron Man.
Yeah.
Like, look at that stretch.
Yeah.
Like, when I got off the podcast today, and I'll let you listen to it, my friends were like, but Diamond, you were the guy that we partied with till 4 a.m. You get up at 3 in the fucking morning now, meditate. I'm like, yeah, but that. So I think any addict, or if there's an addict listening, if they can trust the process and the faith like we did, you reverse engineer it, and you do become superhuman in a way. And that's the power. That's actually the beauty of being an addict. Addicts are very special people if they can make an empowering choice.
Yeah, hold on. I just got to tell you a really funny story. I don't even know if I shared this with you while we were texting. And then there are a couple of things I want to say throughout the podcast about our spiritual bond and friendship. So you got to let me know when our time is running out. But so a lot of I will always repost, because it means a lot, our bond. So I will always repost when you wake up, because it means a lot to me, you know, always. And if I go for a run, I'll always post you. But so I've had some people come up to me or DM me, and they're like, you're a maniac. And I'm like, what are you talking about? They're like, the way you wake up at 3 o'clock. I'm like, oh, no. I'm like, that's not me. I'm like, that's my boy, Mike Diamond. I'm like, I'm a rare breed. I'm like, that's the maniac.
Do you know, but this is the best. All right, so we're old, right? This is the best. So do you know who's become really close to me now? Mike O'Hearn.
That's crazy, dude.
He loves me. So this is the best thing. But this is the best thing. So I think he's the GOAT. He's the greatest. He's 54. I love him. I
agree.
So I just start commenting honestly on his videos because I think he's the greatest. I really think he's the greatest. And he follows me. So one day I tag him and say, just, up at 3 a.m. because I know he gets up at 2:33 and he just starts messaging me. So one day he grabs a fucking podcast clip I did and he's like, motherfuckers, you should watch this. Watch my boy. And it gets like 40,000 hits on it. And then the other day, he's like, anything you tag me in, I am reposting, dude. I fucking love you. So I said to him, look, on my birthday this year in June, I need a favor. He's like, what is it? I said, can I come train with you? He's like, fuck yeah. He goes, absolutely. Come down to Gold's Gym. He goes, you'll be my guest. And I was like, because I love him. He's the GOAT. But it's like, he's one of those guys that gets up at 2:33. He's up at 2:33. I know it because I've seen him post shit from Gold's Gym at 2 a.m.
Well, to put one of our bonds together, I mean, you know what? I bet you anyone listening to this would be like, fuck these two. I'm not even listening. These two are just, it's a love thing. But I saw Michael Hearn do this because he really, I mean, he is the GOAT, but he also he's our age, right? He's within our age group. So like he likes Frank Zane the way you and I do.
Micah Hearn.
I was just, I agree with you that he's the GOAT. I followed him since I was a kid, but I also love, we're within his age group, Mike, you and I.
Yeah,
so he loves the old guy, like Robbie Robinson and Frank Zane, the way you and I do, where, the young pups have no idea who the hell we're talking about.
Dude, Robbie Robinson is like 70 now. Do you see that?
Yeah.
Like he is like, it's crazy.
It's crazy, Robbie.
No way.
Oh, it was great. It was great, man.
Wow, the Black Prince.
With Robbie. It was unbelievable.
Yeah, he's
a man of very few words, by the way, Mike. A man of very few words.
Doesn't say much.
But what he does say?
Gold.
Yeah.
Yeah, those old school guys, their bodies were phenomenal.
Yeah.
That's what I find really interesting and funny. It's like, here's a question. We'll go off. This is a really off topic. What's your opinion on this? Like these YouTubers like Jake Paul and these kids. What do you think of that?
Mike, I think I'm just gonna outdate myself here, bro. I think I better grow up and get with the times because my opinion is, here's my, you ready for my opinion? My opinion is I'm old. There's my opinion. I'm old.
Well, I'm old.
Right? Because I don't get it. I don't get it.
You know what? I'll be honest with you. I actually like it. I'll tell you why.
Yeah.
I'll tell you why. Like, what I like about it is this. See, I used to be old, and when this whole metaverse thing started and this cryptocurrency started, my old school mentality, being this guy that came up through, you had to make friends on the streets in New York and there was no social media, and your bar or you got popular if you networked correctly. I was totally against social media and all that kind of stuff. And then when I started to look at these kids like this Jake Paul kid, I was like, hold on. He's literally fighting. He's calling people out to physically fight. Like, it's not a basketball game. You're getting punched in the fucking face. And then what I do enjoy about it is that he has the balls to call out, even though they're UFC fighters, he's still calling out legit fighters. They may not be boxers. Now, I think no offense to him, I think if he fought a boxer, he may get his teeth punched through his face. But he's still calling out legit fighters. And then he has the balls to get these fighters paid the most money they've ever paid as professional athletes, right?
So this is where hold on, let me show you where I'm old. Hold on. I gotta tell you, straight up, he kicked my ass. Let's get that on the record right now.
Oh, dude.
So if he watches this, I'm letting him know right now.
No, he can fight.
And he trained, Mike, he's the real deal. He trains hard.
He trains hard.
What I mean by old is that I kind of like, I want to see Tyson and I want to see guys that this is their profession, not somebody that their profession was Disney Channel.
But no, but you know what? I've changed. I'll tell you why.
Go ahead.
I'll tell you why. See, I'll tell you where I've changed, and I used to be so different. And I'll be honest. So when Kimbo Slice came out, right, and he was fighting in backyards. And even Masvidal was fighting in backyards as well in Miami. So I'll tell you why I've changed. I don't think the world is fair in the sense of, so I'll give you a perfect example of where I made my own is. I wrote a book and did a 70-page proposal. Now, I've been around a long time. I have a lot of connections. A regular guy doesn't have my connections. Did I work for these connections? Absolutely. I came to America nothing. So I earned the connections. I did all the networking. Yeah. I went to friends who had agents. People passed. I got a legit agent, a top agent, top of the top. Now, the agent couldn't sell my book. So I then went to another agent who represents Eckhart Tolle and sent him a blind email, sent him the proposal. He goes, I want to sign you. I just got a book deal. Now, the book deal's big. Ben Bella Books through Random House. Massive. But here's my point. If I wasn't as savvy as I am, if I didn't have the life experience, if I hadn't put 20 years into the business, I couldn't cut through that noise to get in front of the right people because it's such a small thing. So the reason I like the YouTubers now, and the reason I like this, is because boxing and UFC, it's like the people that control the top, it's very hard to break through. So when a young kid who's got billions of followers or whatever it is, and from YouTube videos goes, fuck that, I want to do this thing, I actually admire it because I'm like, well, hold on, that's your only way you can break through.
Oh, yeah. No, I admire, listen, I'm not speaking out of both sides of my mouth. I admire all these kids. Like, I admire their balls. I admire that they're breaking the rules. I admire that they're the future. I admire how they had a vision that I just haven't been called to watch one of their fights.
I just think now I've become so different in the way, like this metaverse thing, right? Everyone's like this. And I said, well, I spoke to this guy, we're on Melsa's podcast about the metaverse. And what he said, I'll be honest with you, made complete sense.
Yeah.
And I never thought I'd say that. And I said, break it down to me. He said, well, okay, so if you're in the metaverse and Adam and Mike are in a situation and they're not good at sales, we can put you in a virtual experience so you can practice as if you're going to sell something to another human being, right? I was like, that makes fucking sense to me.
Yeah.
Right? Now, someone got pissed off the other day with the NFT thing. I said, well, stop. Hold on a second. I remember going to this art gallery the other day, and I looked at a fucking painting of a fucking apple that was painted by some elitist many years ago, and it was $4 million. I'm not a fucking painter, but I can paint a fucking apple. Okay? And all these people now are getting pissed off about the non-fungible token, which is the original token, right? The NFT. And they're like, Gary V, fuck this guy, Gary V. He's making all this money. I'm like, whoa. Hold on. If Gary V is smart enough to make a picture and people want to buy it, or Paris Hilton or some celebrity, what's the difference between the elitist art apple guy that just made, that because he's in an art gallery and because a bunch of people said that is art, that should sell for billions of dollars?
Yeah.
What's the difference?
I'm with you on all that.
Do you know what I'm saying? I used to be so old school in the sense of in my thinking, because we are older, going, oh, that's wrong. Now I'm like, well, why is it fucking wrong? Why is it wrong? Why?
Well, hey, look, this is part of also this is almost part of my story, right? What you're saying, you're right. Why is it like, I actually used to mock what you and I do for a living. Right? You were, you were killing it, owning nightclubs, right? Like Scott Weill, like, hustling. I was running the #1 lace manufacturing company in the world. And if I heard the word life coach, I rolled my fucking eyes. I was like, and this, so it's the prototypical me of, I kind of resist resist until I break and I go, oh, there's a whole new world out here for me, you know? And so
I think you nailed it. I think what I've done now as I've got older is I've shifted my perception from removing judgment and just saying, well, what's the information? And then I let it come in and I filter it without generalizing now, you know what I mean? And getting all in my head about what it should be. And I'm like, well, if that person's happy and they're making an empowering choice and their life's okay, what does it bother me?
Yeah.
Like, why do I have to? Because I realized the other day, like, and I guess, and this is the reason, this is a crazy thing, and I'll tell you this. Someone said to me, and this is, this is a crazy thing. So I hadn't spoken to a friend in like 30 years, right? And we messaged back, and she was there for me when I was going through a really dark time. Like, 16, I wanted to kill myself when I got kicked out of school, right? And my neighbor basically intervened. She didn't realize she'd intervened. I had a bunch of pills, and I wanted to swallow them. As a young addict, I didn't know I got kicked out of school. I was confused. I lost, you know, totally getting abused and then taking my abuse out on other people in other ways. And then I had a bunch of pills and I jumped her fence. She was my neighbor and I was going to just take the pills and just fucking lay under her. I don't know, whoever found me. And she didn't see the pills in my hand, but she grabbed me and she goes, what are you doing? I said, oh, nothing. I'm just chilling. She's like, what's wrong? And I said, I'm just struggling, you know, and with life right now, getting kicked out of school, and all the kids hated me at school, and I went from a private school to like a public school, and all the kids wanted to kill me because they said I'd ratted them out. It was a horrible situation. No one had my back, and she just hugged me. That's all she did. She just hugged me, and she said, I guarantee you this. In 30 years from now, none of this shit will matter. So I go, whatever. But she planted a seed of hope. Okay, so I took the seed of hope. I've gone on. We're still friends 30 years later. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I bumped into an old friend. And when I was out one night, there was this girl, and her name's Renee, and we were friends. And we hung out. Nothing ever happened. We just were really fucking tight.
Yeah.
And she was just so much fun. Like, I mean, we had so much fun together, and she left such a great, because she was so cool. And I'll be honest with you, when we were growing up, she was hot. Everyone was like, she's the hottest thing. And I said to one of my friends, we were out, I said, oh, I'm going to go speak to that girl. I used to know her when I was at school. And we hung out. It was great, right? So we got in touch, and she said to me, well, yeah, but you should do the podcast. And I said, why? And she goes, because you're being selfish. And I go, why? And she goes, because you should be bringing on guests and giving back to people. And she made me realize that I'm like, it's not about me to speak to you and help people. It's what it does to the next person.
That's right.
Do you know what I mean? And sometimes we can get, and anyone, like, we don't know we're having this conversation, and someone's going to listen to this and get hope and say, shit, I didn't know this guy tried to kill himself at 16. Yeah. Or I didn't know Adam. This guy looks like he has it all together. I didn't know he went to rehab.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? And sometimes we forget, and this is for everyone listening, and you'll agree with this, that don't look at Instagram and don't look at the highlight reel of someone's life and think that's their life.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
Because we both know that's not true. And secondly, comparison kills your joy.
Comparison kills your joy. And let me also build a bridge in this conversation to what you just shared and what you mean to me. So you were just sharing about some of the pains that you went through 30 years ago. How it's 30 years later, how none of that means anything. How it was time for you to do your podcast, you know, to give back. Not for you, not for, you know, but to give back. And also, you know, don't judge social media. And I'll tell you, Mike, this career-wise, it was a lot of fun, and it has been a lot of fun, and it is a lot of fun to build coaching and the Hero Project. And I don't want to downplay that, but emotionally, this was the hardest year of my life.
Yeah.
You know, and if anybody looks at my Instagram, which is truly about marketing and showing people that there is hope out there in other areas, that you and I have done very well at, that we can help people with, right? Like, but like I was going through a divorce, and a lot of that's very personal and still probably too raw and too soon to share about that.
Yeah, that's why I didn't want to bring it up. Like, just so you know, like, I didn't want to go there. I wanted to be like fun, and you know what I'm saying? Because that's your business. Yeah.
But I got to have these real raw, and you, dude, you were the best pal, because you would call me. I wasn't even like, I couldn't even get on the phone. I couldn't even talk a lot. I mean, forensic accountants, 3 attorneys against, like, I've never been through this in my life. Yeah. Right? In my life, and I didn't think we had that kind of hostility towards each other. Like, I was like, what is happening here? You know, you're getting the house, you're getting the money, you're getting, like, what the hell is going on? And it was so the reason I'm saying that is that it lets you know where your friends are, who your friends are. It lets you see what social media really is. And also, I want to share that do not compare yourself, because whoever you think right now is on that luxury plane, traveling to wherever they're going, and look, you know, they're like Mike and Adam. They take care of their bodies. They look good. Inside could be in so much pain.
Yep.
You know, that they would kill to choose places to be in your place. I remember reading Michael Jordan's book, where he said there were many, many times that he felt like he was a fish in a fishbowl, and everybody was looking in, right? And he would constantly look out and see a little boy with his dad, and go, they have no idea how much I just want to be them.
Yeah, isn't that incredible? And I think I learned that lesson from Scott Weiland when I stopped, and he continued, and I was like, I don't want to look back on this moment in 10 years from now and wonder, like, I just knew it was wrong. Like, I'll tell you what it is. It's not that I put people on a pedestal. I was just never given the right information as a kid.
Yeah.
And then, so I was always told I was stupid because I was dyslexic. I was always told I'd never amount to anything because I got bad grades at school. And especially for a kid, if anyone's listening to this and you're young, it's all bullshit. It's all fucking bullshit. What you're graded at in the first part of life has no effect on where you can go and what possibilities are. And growing up in a small town with all those fixed mindsets and like that box where people said, well, your intelligence is this, you go to school, you do that, and that's all will happen. And I was like, yeah, that's bullshit. And then when you start to understand the flexible growth mindset, you start to understand neuroplasticity, you realize that you can actually learn things later in life if you apply the 10,000 hour rule, all these incredible things, right? If you can actually apply process. I started to realize that 99% of the information I was given that was in my subconscious mind was a lie.
Yeah.
It was all bullshit. None of it had any relation to my ability and the potential that I could live. So then people say to me, how do you do all these things? And I go, well, wait a second. I don't put a limit on what I can do. If I really think now, and I try to tell people this as well, and I was telling someone this the other day, look, there's optimism and there's optimistic delusion. And what I mean by this is this. I'm 5'9", right? And I've never played basketball. If I tell you tomorrow, it doesn't matter how optimistic I am and how many affirmations I am, I'm going to play basketball like Michael Jordan, there's delusion.
Yeah.
That's not fucking reality. So you can be optimistic, but you've also got to understand that there's a limit to your potential. And what people make up when they go, you can do anything. No. Within a set of circumstances. You can't just do anything. Don't get confused here. I'm never going to swim like Michael Phelps. It doesn't matter what I tell myself. I'm not genetically built to swim like Michael Phelps, but Michael Phelps ain't going to sprint the 100 meters as fast as me.
Yeah.
So you know what I mean?
Call that? That's, give me the differential there. That was
optimistic and optimistically delusional.
Yeah, I like that. I wrote an article. I'd send it to you if you remember last year. It went on MSNBC. It was about toxic positivity, which is
there you go.
Right? I like the way you word it better, right? So if I'm sitting there telling you, you know, you can jump from the foul line and dunk the basketball, I'm a con artist. I'm a bullshit. Like it's, but if Mike O'Hearn is
Right.
truly above you. And he's looking at you. He's like, I know you haven't been under 315 incline in a while, Mike, but you got this. I think you got it.
Right, but you just nailed it perfectly. But there's a difference, and I think, and this is what I try to teach people, and this is where people get confused. The reason purpose is more important than passion is that you can feel a certain way, but the feeling's going to go. Purpose has to do with your natural inclination and ability and talents.
Yeah.
And God has given us all a talent. Where people get confused is they look at someone else's talent and ability and think that, well, that's my talent and ability. It's got nothing to do with your talent and ability. You've got to sit inside yourself and figure out what you're good at. For example, right? It's like people say that certain people are geniuses. No such thing as a fucking genius. Read the book, The Talent Code, and I'll tell you why. People say, well, Mozart was a genius. No, he wasn't a genius. His dad was a concert pianist. His dad sat with him at the piano for hours a day. So what happened in his subconscious mind and the neural pathways were created when he was playing the music, he could relate to the notes, right? When you look at any of the so-called geniuses or the masters, they were taken from their parents and given mentors at 5 years old. Da Vinci had a fucking mentor at 5.
Yeah.
Imagine being 5 years old and doing 10,000 hours of work. By the time you're 15, people think you're a master. But what it was is they got around the right mentors and repetition. But they also understood their inclination.
Yeah.
So Mozart, because we get certain things from the genes, right? Look, I'm an old dude, but I'm a fit fucking guy. But genetically, it comes from my past. Now, when I ran the 30 half marathons, someone said, but you're not built to run 30 half marathons. I said, yeah, but here's the trick. I knew I couldn't run 30 half marathons every day, 8-minute miles. I'm not built to run a 6-minute mile. I said knew I could do it within the pace I could run it. Yeah. So it was still realistic about how fast I would run every day. Do you see what I'm saying? 100%. I knew my boundary. My boundary was if I run a 9-minute mile, 10-minute mile, I'm going to be fine. If I had to run it in 7-minute miles, I couldn't have done it. No matter how much I prepared mentally to run 30 half marathons in 30 days, 7-minute miles for my body type wouldn't happen. Now, if Dean Karnazes, who ran 50 marathons in 50 days, he's a long distance runner, he's 120 pounds, unlike me, 180 pounds, 5'9", he could do that. So I'm still realistic. You know what I'm saying? That's where people need to understand, like, when you set a goal or when you have a purpose or you're passionate about something, you got to step back and go, well, how realistic is this goal?
You know what I love about when we talk? I find that we actually have, like, let's say when you're with your people, I'm with my people, we're the same person, and we even use the same conversations. I just use different words. Like what you just explained, I will actually use as false humility and true humility. Now the same thing with the Masters and Tiger Woods. Tiger was playing since he was 4 years old with his dad, right? So when they ask him at the Masters on the 18th hole, how did you make that birdie? He doesn't go, oh, gee, shucks. I just, I hit the ball and hey, God was with me. And never. He's like, I practiced that shot 10 million times since I was 5 years old with my dad before he passed away. So it doesn't matter what the words are. It's the actual principles that you and I are teaching people.
Yeah, and I think what the most important thing is, and I tell people mastery is boring after a while. And they say, what do you mean? I'm like, here's the thing. Floyd Mayweather would never have to throw a jab again. But I guarantee you when he goes to the gym, he throws jabs.
Yeah.
So there's 4 stages to any kind of learning and mastery. There's unconscious and incompetent. You don't know what you don't know. Then there's conscious and incompetent. You're like, I'm conscious and I need to learn a lot of shit. Then you start the process and then you go, I'm consciously competent. Most people stay there. But to have something built into your subconscious mind as an innate habit, it has to become unconscious and competent. You're just in flow naturally. So when Michael Jordan goes up to do something, 90% of the time, it's unconscious competence. He doesn't have to think where his hand's going to be to dunk or how he's going to move to dribble. He's done it so many times that when he touches the ball, his fingers know what it feels like to move the ball. Yeah. That's unconscious competence. Do you know what I mean? So when
and
you
I agree with you. To be the best at what you do, it is a very boring life. I mean, Tom Brady has said it. Michael Jordan has said it. You know,
the amount of discipline that you have to have in the process, and that's another thing that people don't. Look, here's the greatest thing I'll tell anyone that's listening, and they're going to get a lot from this. I've done 2 rewrites. Now, my goal, you got to remember, my goal and my desired result was to get published. Where we fuck up is we have a desired result, but we attach an unrealistic time to the result. I don't know how long it's going to take to get published. Most people will go through 2 years of rejections and say it's taken too long. How do you know it's not going to take 10 years? So I stay in the goal and delay gratification. I finally get this good agent. He says to me, the first thing he says to me to test me, the book's been written twice. Are you prepared to rewrite the whole book? My ego is going to say, fuck off. But what was my desired result? To be published. So what do I say? Absolutely. Whatever you need. I'll rewrite. I don't give a fuck. I want to be published because that's what I want to hear. Now, will I be published? Will the book be in stores? Will I do a worldwide tour? 100%. Will this guy get me on the bestsellers list? Yeah, he's published 10,000 books. I'm so grateful I'm in the game. But here's the thing, what people don't understand. You make the NFL, it's 1%. You get published now, it's 1%. I looked it up. You get one in 1,000 books now gets published. That's how grateful I am to get into with these guys. 1 in 1,000 agents sign someone. But most people don't understand this. When you make the grade, like I make this now, I've got to spend a year, 1 whole year now with the publisher before the book comes out. And most people get burnt before they arrive. They don't understand that when you make the NFL, and that's why they're not Tom Brady, is that's when the work begins. Yeah. It just begins. My work now as an author, I've already got 4 books, right? The 3rd book's written. I'm writing the 4th book. I've got to be 3 or 4 books in front of my publisher. Because when I give him the 3rd book after this tour, he may say, rewrite the whole book. No problem. Whatever you need. Why? Because I want to be in bookstores. That's the difference. And that's what people don't understand.
This is where I need you to coach me. Are you ready? Remember I said I'm old?
Yeah.
So this is what you are saying to me is a turn on. That's a turn on. Because you and I, we could go into a whole side topic of this, but we're very drawn to authentic people. And we're friends with unauthentic people that are killing. Okay? That are killing. I cannot deny that there are certain people that are not authentic.
But they're killing it.
They're killing it. So I can't take my own success, and I can't be jealous, and I can't be upset. It's just something about them doesn't ring true.
Correct.
So let's build a bridge real fast. When I have a tough time with the question of Jake Paul is, why is it that I am so drawn to people that truly grind it out? That doesn't mean Jake Paul hasn't, by the way.
It's inspiring. It's inspiring.
Right?
It's inspiring.
Yeah.
But here's the thing that people don't understand.
Maybe not the right person to use because
No, I think he is. I'll tell you why.
Yeah.
Here's the misperception. How do you know that he wasn't grinding it out to do all those YouTube clips and do Disney?
That's why I said he may not be, right? But what I'm trying to say is I would hire Jake Paul in a minute to teach me how to grow in this new business world, in social media.
Correct, yeah.
But for some reason, I'm not drawn to watch this kid fight because I love the story of what you just said. Like I'm more drawn to the person that went to University of North Carolina, went to the Chicago.
Yeah, but see, I used to.
Went
No, I'm
all
not
8
anymore.
years
You know
to-
why I'm not? You know why I'm not anymore? I'll tell you why.
Go ahead.
Conor McGregor is like a Jake Paul.
Is
I'll
he?
tell you why. I'll tell you why.
Okay.
He cut the line, right? Because of his attitude. There was a lot more people that should have been in front of him to fight Jose Aldo. Right? He beat Aldo. What did Nate Diaz say when he beat him? I ain't surprised, motherfuckers. Because Nate Diaz didn't cut the line.
Yeah.
Now, how's this? Dustin Poirier beat him twice, right?
Yeah.
But I guarantee they give McGregor a shot at Olivier before Gagey, and Gagey should get the shot, right?
Yeah.
Gagey deserves the shot, right? He won't get it because the money is on McGregor. Now, will Olivier beat McGregor? I think so. He may not, but guess what? If he doesn't, guess what? McGregor gets another shot again, a lucky shot.
Yeah.
And he doesn't have to stand in line. So there's no difference between. No, perfect example. Why was McGregor allowed to fight Floyd Mayweather? There you go. So I don't think it's a fair system ever.
Yeah. Yeah. And yet, it's so funny. Now, and you're teaching me already because now you're showing me that I'm not even because I have biases. I'm like, well, but Floyd I like.
But yeah, but we're both like that. So it's like
Right.
I try to like look at it in an open thing and say, well, hold on. I'm just more impressed because we came up through a different mentality where that, you know, we came up, look, and it was a laugh. Like if you're born in the 70s and someone bumps you, you just stare at them and you'll break their jaw. We grew up that if you said to someone, you're going to punch them, you would punch them. Or if they said they were going to punch you, they were going to punch you. And you didn't go home and cry about it.
No.
Or if you were bullied, you were bullied. You couldn't tell anyone you were bullied. People just kicked the shit out of you. And you kind of went, oh, I better not walk that way home because the bully's on the corner. I got to find another route.
Yeah.
So because we came from a different, like that environment is a lot different, it's a little harder for us to adapt to the younger millennial. But I don't have anything against the younger millennial because I don't know what I would be like now either.
Yeah. No, I
What
can't.
would I? You know what I'm saying? What would I be like now with all this information? One thing I will say is now there's no excuse because when I was a kid, you had to think greater than your environment to get out of the environment. There was no information. When I came to America, I couldn't get on a chat group, find Australians in America. Do you know what I mean? It was like, it was sink or swim. You're going to do or die. Nowadays, there is no excuse for a kid to not be successful with all the information.
Agreed.
You can read a fucking book. I mean, you can watch this podcast. You can go on 100 podcasts. Elon Musk always says, don't go to fucking college. You can learn to fly a rocket off YouTube. But what I've learned to do in my age now is be more flexible and adaptive and non-judgmental of someone younger than me and say, okay, well, how do you do it? I do it this way. How do you do it?
Yeah.
Show me what your perception is of it.
Yeah.
And it's teaching me now that there's some kids out there and they're savvy, man, and they're doing great stuff.
Yeah. And like I said, like there's also something that I'm very drawn to of authenticity, right? Like so granted, like I may have this little bit of an old school thing with, let's say, like Jake Paul fighting, but that kid, both of them, right? Him and his are as authentic as it comes. I just have to learn to be a little bit more flexible when I find something inauthentic. That's all.
You know what I think is really interesting? Like, I mean, Dana White underpays the fighters. I'm friends with all the fighters, a lot of fighters. But it's okay for Dana White to underpay them. But yeah, when this kid calls them out, they all get offended. And I'm like, well, maybe they're underpaid.
Yeah.
Why can he pay them so much? Oh, we're gonna jump into something a little weird right now, and it may piss some people off. But for example, right? Someone asked me about Joe Rogan and what's my opinion. I said, oh, hold on a second. Joe Rogan did Fear Factor. Joe Rogan did The Man Show. Joe Rogan attacked Carlos Mencia when he was stealing jokes and got kicked out of the Laugh Factory and got fired by Gersh. Joe Rogan is a UFC commentator. Okay? at any time looking at those things and someone says, well, it's really offensive what he did, I'm like, look at his resume. No offense to Joe Rogan, but I wouldn't expect anything else. I would never do the Man Show. I'd never do Fear Factor. I'd never commentate for the UFC. Nothing wrong with any of these things. But what I'm trying to say is that people are like taking it way out of context, saying it's so offensive. What he has done is probably offensive. I'm not saying it's not. But what I'm trying to say is that this is a guy that's done these things. And I mean, the Man Show is offensive.
Right.
Fear Factor is offensive.
Right.
They're making people eat weird shit.
Yeah.
That's offensive. It's straight offensive. There's nothing that he hasn't done that's not a little bit like, why are you doing that?
Yeah.
So then when it happens and people say, why did he do that? I'm like, but he's always done it.
I agree with, look, now we're going into the subject of like political correctness. And when Bill Maher, when people on the left are saying Bill Maher is sounding like somebody to the right because you can't talk anymore without being, so like Bill Maher is the farthest thing from the right, but it almost looks like he's to the right because he's talking about common sense, right?
Well, what's your opinion on like how they cancel people when they cancel people? What do you think about that?
I think it's the worst thing that we could ever do. I think it's first off, now that you and I are, you've been in it way longer, but like we're in a space of free flow. And speaking openly from your heart. And sometimes, sometimes no matter how articulate you are, even Barack Obama, who was the best orator there was, screw up. Because you're trying to express a thought very quickly, right? To somebody, like to a friend, to an interviewer. You're trying to express a thought, and it may not come out 1,000% accurate how you meant it, and now you can take a 15-second clip of that one thought and literally turn the person into a monster. Having said that, look, there is no, I don't want to speak out of like both sides of my mouth. There is no reason, and there will never be a reason for the N-word to come out of my mouth.
Oh yeah, no. That's not even. That's
right?
not even.
So I put that on the table.
That's not even a question.
Right. There's never a reason to say it. Ever fucking. There's no fucking reason. Joe apologized. What more do people want from him?
Yeah, I'm just more. What I'm puzzled with is more that I wouldn't expect anything less. That's not saying I have a low opinion of the guy. I would expect that. I'm just being honest. Like, I'm just like, I'd expect him to do something like that. I've looked at his track record. It's pretty interesting. He does some weird stuff. I mean, he was on a Man Show, which is the most chauvinistic, dumbest show I've ever seen. If you do that, you're probably going to say some weird stuff.
Also, not only that, comedians, at least I thought, had a creative integrity for you to understand that when you're listening to them or when you're listening to a show, that not everything is so personal. It's not right. I remember hearing, I forgot what comedian say that he did a joke about drunk driving. The joke killed, and there was one person in the audience that son died from a drunk driver that like killed him. He's like, listen, sometimes we got to sacrifice one for the many. He's like, I didn't know you were here. I don't know about your son. You know what I mean? It wasn't my intention.
Dude, I heard the best thing the other day. So Bryan Cranston got in trouble for playing a guy with cerebral palsy.
Does that make any sense?
Well, I mean, but if a guy with cerebral palsy played himself, it wouldn't be acting. I mean, I'm just being honest.
Right.
Like, if you have cerebral palsy and you're playing a character with cerebral palsy, you're not an actor. You're just a guy with cerebral palsy. That's no offense to someone with cerebral palsy.
Right.
I'm just saying that's the point of acting. Someone's got to get into the character to act. So for me, when I heard that, I was like,
it's great. Mike,
that's a little confusing to me. That's a little confusing. I'm like, so look. This is nothing against cancel culture, what people do. I think we've got to find a balance. I think that you've got to look at situations and say, and I do agree in one sense, it was too extreme on one end.
Sure.
It was way too extreme. It was so extreme that people were getting away with hurting people and doing stuff that just wasn't good. And it was very offensive, right? But the problem is that the opinions are so stretched. For example, people get into political debates about vaccines, not vaccines. Like, I don't care. Just stay out of my lane. If you want to get vaccinated or not get vaccinated, personally, it doesn't bother me. If you want space, I'll give you space. If you don't want space, I won't give you space. Like, that's where I'm at. Do you know what I'm saying? And I think what people need to understand is that we've got to pull away and be just a bit more compassionate and kind and loving. And that comes from me.
Let me ask you a question, though.
Go.
I can echo this. Do you think that you're like that? And I'm just curious, because you really know you've done all the work on yourself. You're about to be 16 years clean and sober, and you know your purpose. You and I have a mission and a purpose. So when people interview us, and for me, it's not about vax, non-vax, Yankees, Red Sox, Republican, Democrat. You and I are we're here to help people, and I feel like that keeps you and I in our lane. I don't know who I would be without this.
Well, I think it's a good question. All right, so I look at it like this. Someone said to me the other day, and they got upset when I answered it. They said, "You save lives." I'm like, "No, I don't." They're like, "What do you mean?" I said, "Do you want me to be honest with you?" And they're like, they got a little thrown back because they're trying to give me a compliment, but I didn't. I stopped them. I said, "Look, I'm going to be straight with you." I go, "What is the only guarantee in life?" And they looked at me confused. I'm like, "Death. Death of the body is a guarantee. You can go down to the cemetery right now. We've watched a lot of people die. I don't know what happens after the body dies, but I get one shot as Mike Diamond. I don't care if you believe I come back 10 million times. As Mike Diamond, I get one shot. So I actually can't save your life. I can intervene to make you make an empowering choice. Then I can postpone the inevitable, which is you're going to fucking die. Right? That's it. I'm going to die. You're going to die. I watched a friend of mine die the other day, 43 years old. I've watched people drop like flies from COVID. Some did, some didn't. Some were vaccinated, some weren't. Either way, the honest truth is this. I can't save your life. What I can do is try to get inside your head, make you feel better about yourself, and hopefully you can then connect with your higher power to make, more conscious choices. And while you're on this planet as a spirit having a human experience, you can actually reach your potential, be more fulfilled, and feel better. That's all I can do.
Agreed.
The guy got so offended.
Well, it's interesting because I think it's also the messenger, because I think if it's, you and I have shared it, you've saved, helped, inspired, awoken quite a few kids. And I do think when it's a mom and a dad, you came in, you took them at night, you get them to help, right? And the kid comes back and the kid is alive for the first time in years. I think when the mom and dad is like, "Mike, you saved our life," it hits a different part in your heart.
Oh, yeah. And I don't mean it, but what
you can own that a little bit more. It's like, thank you,
Yeah, and I'm not saying, but what I'm trying to say is that I'm just a regular guy that turned my life around. That's why I tell people I don't believe in miracles. I believe in work. They're like, "Why?" And I'm like, "Because I got sober because I did the work."
You sound like Jesus.
But I'm not trying to fucking sit on a pedestal above. If I can do it, someone else can do it.
Right? I mean, faith without works is dead. You too will do greater things than this. It's your faith that made you whole, not me.
Right. You just show up. And if I stay in the process long enough and I'm a good person, good things will happen. I'm not sitting there praying for a white light. Look, all I pray for is guidance. That's it. Patience and guidance. They're the two things I have to work on. I can be an impatient motherfucker. I have to worry about my anger because I still can get fired off if I'm triggered. Yeah. I can go straight into fight mode because all my life I was in fight mode. People ask me why I get up at 3 o'clock in the morning because I need that much time with myself, by myself, journaling every day, meditating every day, exercising and doing the right thing. So when I do get around people, I'm not a fucking asshole. I can admit that. I'm a flawed human being.
that's a good thing to talk about real fast. Let's talk about, because you inspired me. So it's been over a year and a half, almost 2 years that we've known each other. I'm running like a lunatic. Let's go over the Mike Diamond morning protocol.
All right, and then we'll end. So my Mike Diamond morning protocol is really simple. I get up at 3 a.m.
3 a.m.
When I get up, it's kind of weird. I sit in a static stretch position. So I pin my legs back like I'm doing the splits, and I journal for 30 minutes. After I journal for 30 minutes, I then do 3 types of breath work. The first one is a alternative nasal breathing. The second is called breath of fire, where you bring air into the nostrils and you pump the diaphragm. And then I just do some simple box breathing. Then what I do is I put a 20-minute mindfulness meditation on. I sit and do a mindfulness meditation. Then I stretch the rest of my body out and I make sure it's all limber. From there, I go and work out, do it between an hour and 90 minutes of heavy weightlifting. And then I do cardio. I'll either run. If I do the elliptical, I'll read. But I'm always doing some kind of cardio. And then
how many minutes are we at now? Sometimes 60,
90, always minimum.
Always 90.
Yeah, 90. I do 90 minutes. And then after that, I check my phone. So I am up 4 hours before I even look at my phone. I do my post. Yes, I post my morning crew. And then I put the phone down. And when I journal, I write down everything that's going through. I process it. And then I write my gratitude list after I journal for the 30 minutes. Always 30 minutes, 3 longhand pages, which I learned from an incredible book called The Artist's Way from Julia Cameron.
Great book.
Yeah, I'm
following many of our principles. The artist.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. She's amazing. And I don't ever break that protocol, no matter if I'm traveling with a client. Like, it was funny before we got off. So I got this job in DC, and I was with the client. I worked out when he was sleeping, and I realized the gym was 2.5 miles from his house. I said, perfect. So the first day I walked in, it was 2.5 miles. Came home, so it's 5 miles, 2.5 there, 2.5 there, workout. And then obviously the weather dropped, and it was like 10, 12 degrees. And I have a notification. Always put I drop a pin so my wife knows where I am, because if I'm traveling and something happens to me, she's going to be like, he's here. She can find me. So one day she was tracking it, and she looked at the time, and then she looked at the distance. She's like, wait, you're not driving to the gym. I said, no, why would I drive to the gym? She's like, babe, it's like 12 degrees, 10 degrees, and you're walking 2.5 miles to the gym. And I said, here's the thing. You think that I'm going to take a job to inspire someone, educate someone, and motivate them, and I'm not going to walk to the fucking gym 2 miles? She goes, why? And I said, because here's the difference. I know that 99.9999% of the people aren't going to walk 2 miles in the freezing cold to the gym. I am. And if I want to be about it, I have to live it. I have to. There's 2 types of people. There's the boss, right? That is the travel agent. He's like, oh, here's a really good vacation. Go left, go right, go there, right? Then there's the tour guide, who is the leader. He takes you by the hand and he shows you around, right? So if you want to be a leader, be a fucking tour guide.
Right. And this is me saying I have always been, and I'm working on myself, but I'm attracted to, and I want to be around authenticity.
We walk the talk.
Yeah, but Mike, that's an Adam thing. I know that we can get places faster and get more attention quicker, and we can pay for it. And this, I get it, but I'm attracted to authenticity.
It's not who we are, man. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't mean I'm right. Doesn't mean I'm wrong. It's just it's what I'm about. And I love it.
This has been like one of the best hours ever. This is the best podcast we've done. I love you.
I love you.
Thank you for coming on. I know it was short notice, but I'm telling you, man, we just gave so much gold to so many people that are going to hear this. And I've got to send you some more fuel.
Yeah. Please. And from a very personal note, if people really are listening, I don't care. I hope they do, so they can really know what people are like. Mike, thank you for your friendship this last year. I know there were a couple of times that I always text back, but man,
it's all right. I've been through it. I know. I got a divorce.
But Mike, there may be something even in the future that you and I could talk about helping men and women through this, because that was for me, and I love our whole community, you know that, harder than getting sober.
Yeah, it's tough. It's horrible. It's horrible.
And getting sober is a bitch.
Yeah, one thing we'll leave the audience with this. There's two things I always tell people, and it's very important. Don't suffer in silence. Don't suffer in silence if you're listening to this. You're going to be okay. And the most important thing I want you to understand is you're enough.
Yeah.
If you're listening to this right now, I promise you, I don't give a fuck who tells you you're not enough. You're enough. You're always enough. Don't let anyone tell you you're not enough. And if they do, I'll co-sign it. You can literally walk up to someone and say, this guy Mike Diamond told me to tell you this. Go fuck yourself. I'm enough. You can blame it on me. You can send them my Instagram follower, and you can literally tell them that Mike Diamond told me to tell you this. Go fuck yourself because I'm enough. And I think that's all you need to do. I will co-sign that. I will literally look at my Instagram if a person messaged me and go, yeah, I said that. So go fuck yourself.
You're going to see a little guy in a black shirt behind Mike Diamond with his arms folded being like, yeah, that'll be me.
Yeah, it's like, love you. I love you, brother.
I love you,
and I'll text you. Thank you so much for coming on. It was a fucking amazing episode.
I love you, brother.
Thank you, brother.
See you, pal.
Bye.
And that was your dose of positivity with Mike Diamond.